Hello, Mallards. It is Monday, and it is finally time for me to talk about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I saw this film on Saturday, and I want to talk just briefly about a few things before I get into the actual meat of this film. The first thing is that there will be spoilers throughout. This entire video is spoilers, so if you haven't seen Doctor Strange and you plan to and you don't want to be spoiled, please stop watching the video now. And if you stayed, you understand that there will be spoilers. There are spoilers, lots of spoilers. So I want to start off by saying this is not my least favorite MCU film. Also, that America Chavez is incredible and giving me life, and her little pride pin that is in every single shot of her face, great. One of the best parts of this entire film. And in general, her spirit, her interactions, I really enjoyed watching her on screen. I also want to say that Elizabeth Olsen is doing the absolute most in this film. Her range of nuanced emotions, her performance, absolutely stunning. Everything that she embodies is done very well. And I know that Elizabeth Olsen was way back in the Age of Ultron days interested in doing the House of M, Wanda's kind of crazy storyline, and so I'm glad that that has happened for her, and I hope that it has made her feel fulfilled and that she has enjoyed this opportunity and the performance that she was able to put out, because I thought that she did a fantastic job being scary evil Wanda, and that she also played the two versions of Wanda that are in this very well, and the dream versions, and just the range of emotions, which we also got to see in WandaVision, so it was nice to see her just killing it again. Benedict Cumberbatch also does a great job, and there are some really awesome visuals in this film. I enjoyed some of the other universes that they went to and the visuals of that, and I also enjoyed some of the visuals of hopping from universe to universe. Those were really fun. A lot of them are in the trailer, so even without the film you've seen a lot of them, but they were cool, and it was neat to watch them traverse and go back and forth. And all of that being said, this movie was fun to watch, but it wasn't good. There are a few problems that I have with this film. The first one isn't necessarily a problem. It is just a product of the way that the MCU is going, and that is that if you haven't seen other MCU things, Doctor Strange makes, in the Multiverse of Madness, makes no sense. The film is confusing, and you don't know what's going on, and you don't know who these characters are, and you're just I don't understand. And that could be fixed by doing the film through the eyes of America, who doesn't know what's going on, and if everybody actively actually explained stuff to her, that'd be great, but they really don't. And so if you aren't really into the MCU, you're gonna be confused. And if you are into the MCU, you're also gonna be confused, because one of the biggest transgressions, in my opinion, of this film is that I feel like it really erases the growth that we saw from Wanda during WandaVision. She ends that sort of recognizing and reckoning with what she did and feeling guilty over it, and then she starts this film being nah, burn the world down to get my boys back, which I don't have a problem with. I like Wanda's villain turn. I love the way Elizabeth Olsen plays her as a villain. I think that the visuals are cool, the idea is cool, her being a villain is really fun. I just feel like it wasn't built correctly, and it could have been fixed several ways. One, by getting a little bit of her descent again, or by very explicitly showing that the Darkhold has a hold of her, and a result of the Darkhold was that she's gone crazy. But she just repeatedly says, like, I am not the villain, I am not the killer, and then she kills a bunch of people. There's also the opportunity for her to have done a lot of this stuff in a non-lethal manner, which would fit more with the growth we saw in WandaVision. So she does show up to the temple, like, to fight all of the sorcerers, and she essentially just, like, blasts them away. She kills hundreds of them. And she could have, there's a moment when she's trying to break down the shield where she's, like, trying to get into their minds, classic Age of Ultron style, and just, like, does her little, like, right up next to your ear finger thing and says, run. And then one of the guys runs and it breaks the shield, and then she's able to break through and she ends up killing a bunch of people. And it could have been a fun thing to have her say run and then everybody run, because that would be an interesting display of power but wouldn't require all of the carnage, and I think would also play on Doctor Strange's, like, ego idea of, like, yeah, I can totally handle this, like, look at all of us, we're totally ready to go. And then she's just like, run, and they all run. Like, I think it could have been an interesting way to show that. And then the film ends with Wanda dying, maybe, question mark. It's comics, so who knows? Like, the very last thing that happens before the whole mountain smashes in on her is, like, a flash of red magic, so, like, that could just be her escaping. And she does seem to have redeemed herself, like, figured things out, because the Wanda from the other universe is like, listen, I know, but, like, it's got to be good enough to you to understand that, like, here in this universe they will be loved, and, like, that's just the way that it is. And she sort of comes back from that and decides that, like, the Darkhold needs to be destroyed, every Darkhold in every place in the multiverse, and, like, this whole thing needs to be torn down. And that's nice, but I feel like I got that redemption before and I didn't need it again, so, like, why did I need this again? Could have also just ended WandaVision with her being like, haha, yeah, I'm letting Westview go because I have bigger plans. I don't know. So that was my main problem. There are, in relation to Wanda's thing, some, like, continuity stuff that's weird and doesn't make sense. There is an absolutely beautiful fight using music between two Doctor Stranges. And I wanted to like that scene because it's so dynamic. Visually, it's really cool. The audio is really neat because they're using music to fight. Like, it's got all the makings of an epic scene, except that Doctor Strange is using music to fight, which he's literally never done before. And if alternate universe Doctor Strange had started that fight with the music notes and then he'd, like, stumbled and then, like, picked it up and fought back, that would make a lot more sense. And instead he did it. And it was frustrating to me. It just didn't seem to fit. Doctor Strange doesn't learn new stuff. I mean, he does, but, like, that's not something we've seen since the original Doctor Strange film. And even in the original Doctor Strange film, he doesn't really learn new stuff. He just, like, eventually picks up on the stuff he already decided he wanted to do. And so that was weird and a little frustrating. I also personally had a problem with the power dynamics for Wanda, like her ability to decimate hundreds of sorcerers, but then, like, really struggle to defeat Captain Carter. And I am not upset that that took a while, because the girl fight was kind of cool, like watching her fight Captain Marvel and Captain Carter, and the dynamics of that fight was nice, but it also, like, just struck me as strange. I did think it was both frustrating and funny that they did introduce all of these characters, like all of the characters we thought were going to be there as Easter eggs, like, oh my gosh, look, there's Mr. Fantastic, and wow, there's Charles Xavier, and, like, ooh, there's Black Bolt, like, here are all of these fun little Easter eggs, but then we're just going to murder them all. It was really violent too, which I'm fine with. Like, again, not the problem that I have. But it was fascinating to see all of that violence on screen that I feel like, and also off screen, like they were like, oh, we really want a lot of these things to be creepy and violent, but we also don't want to show them. And that half of the people making this film were like making a horror film. And then the other half were making a comedy where Doctor Strange makes weird jokes about Black Bolt's name. And then like, they're like the Illuminati and he's like the Illumawati, and like the tone was weird. And so introducing those characters just to kill them was fine. Like, I don't necessarily have a problem with that, even though like from the standpoint of like expanding the MCU, it does seem like a little bit of a cop-out, but also now we know they exist, and so like they could exist on our world. America talks about finding different versions of Doctor Strange, and so like he'd be like, oh well, then maybe there are different versions of those people on my world, and so maybe he'll eventually find them, and I would be okay with that. And some of the like multiverse stuff was cool. They officially labeled the MCU 616, which I personally don't like, but it's kind of a fun thing to have in there. The zombie thing bothered Megan, I think, more than it bothered me, but still bothered me. Just specifically, so Doctor Strange is like, I'm gonna go back because I'm gonna dream walk. And we've established what dream walking is, and everybody knows it now. And I'm gonna dream walk into myself in that universe. And they're like, but there is no you in that universe. And he goes like, well, no one ever said it had to be living. And then he like inhabits the dead body of a Doctor Strange that showed up in his universe. And that fits with the character. Very clever, really interesting. And then he like rises up, is super zombified, which seems weird because he hasn't been dead that long, but they wanted those visuals for whatever reason, and I'm like willing to accept that. But then there's this whole thing where all of these like ghost spirits come and they're like, you can't possess a dead body, blah 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 blah, we're gonna get you, and they like come shooting out of his eye. It's again that like maybe this is a horror film thing. And he'd asked Christine to guard his body, and I don't know why the ghosts were there, because they just appear for the little bit. They like help him fly over to see Wanda. They attack Wanda a little bit. Why? Great question. She's not possessing a dead body. And then they're like vanquished, and that's it. Like they're just there and then they're gone so fast. And that seemed weird to me. And if you like wanted the dynamic of like Christine needing to fight while his Strange's body is vulnerable, then it could be that possessing a dead body while dreamwalking is like killing him, and so she has to like constantly keep him alive, and that would be in line with the medical drama part of the previous Doctor Stranges, and also like would build the right amount of tension. And then he's just facing off against Wanda, which has its own tension and didn't need those weird ghosts. Like he just needed a cloak to fly over there or to use another spell. And then the film is over. And so that is how I feel about Doctor Strange, which is that it was fun to watch, and that there were incredible performances, that Elizabeth Olsen was giving it her absolute all, and that I am so happy she got the villain turn that I know she wanted. She thought it would be cool if Wanda did this storyline, and like I'm glad that's happened for her, but I think it wasn't well handled in this film, unfortunately, and that there are several like tonal issues. And I'm sad that that keeps happening to Wanda, because like I also feel like there was similar stuff in Age of Ultron, and like what a bummer. But I will go see the next MCU film because I'm an MCU fan, and this, as I said, is not my least favorite film. It's just that I feel like Phase 4 has been so fun and so good, and this could have been better. So if you watched the end of the video, congratulations. Let me know your thoughts on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I'd love to hear how we agree or disagree, and I will see you tomorrow.